Welcome back, everyone, to the Wham once more, for some more Mid-South Wrestling 1930s action. Thank you once again for joining me. Normally we jump right into the shows as quickly as possible, but given the recent injury from one Archie Filer, who is going to be out for a year, 365 days, we've got to do something about that. What it is to be determined. We are going to perform the medium risk surgery. This never goes well for me, so hopefully I've used up my bad luck and we've got some good luck. We're going to go ahead and roll with it. It was deemed a complete success. That is excellent, and the surgeons are confident that any damage that the injury created will have been reduced dramatically, so hopefully he comes back as the same guy. But that is amazing. We just turned a 12-month injury to a 3-month injury, drastically reducing his time on the shelf, and that turned things around. I was prepared to just go sign a new junior heavyweight. I was prepared to be on the hunt for a new junior heavyweight. We don't have to do that. I think we can make it work for 3 months. Since I'm thinking about it, I do want to show you something. Our boy Fumihiko Onoda has once again found full-time work. Love to see it for the man. He's back to regular employment. It may not be a full-time schedule, but he is back to being on an official roster, and he's just one of the characters in the database that for some reason I have just created this sentimental attachment to. He's not on our shortlist for whatever reason, but he is now. But I just wanted to show you that our boy has found employment, and it's good to see. I was prepared to bring him on, actually, but it seems that we don't need to do that. There's one upgrade in our production department that we're going to make. It's a pretty cheap one. We're going to upgrade the music. We're currently at level 2. We're going to go to level 3, which is only an additional $250 cost per night. That's pretty minimal for an upgrade, so I'm just going to roll with it. Since we've been profiting safely every single show, I think we're ready to add to our broadcasters. We're going to bring in Southwest Radio. This will help build our popularity in the Southwest, obviously. But the reason for that mainly being is that we've kind of been building popularity in Midwest. That's been my secondary focus. However, building popularity in the Midwest is not going to help us reach medium size when we eventually need to get there. Not only are we going to need 59 popularity in the Mid-South, but we need to get 35 popularity in either the Southeast or the Southwest. We could go Southeast and really begin to rival SPW in that way. However, I want to go from the approach to dominate the Southwest, the Mid-South, and the Midwest to kind of just build up the leverage of the Wham in that way. SPW can rule the Southeast for a while, and eventually we are going to attempt to overthrow that, because we do have a list of goals that we're aiming to tackle that we set back in episode either 1 or 2, but I'm going to try to plant that flag in the Southwestern Territory and start to build depth to our popularity. So I don't expect much issue to get this negotiation set with Southwest Radio. We could go for the late night slot, which will give us a bit more exposure. However, they want us to pay $7,500 per show for this time slot because they're not super thrilled to give us said time slot, so we'll just go to the graveyard. Everyone's happy with it. This begins a foundation of building that popularity. We don't have to pay anything per show, so you'll love to see that. That makes my comment about us doing this because of our profits kind of null and void, but it's whatever. So we're going to propose the deal. It was agreed upon, and we're going to move forward with it. So now we've got broadcasting in the Mid-South, the Midwest, and now the Southwest. And with all the preliminaries now out of the way, let's get into the first show of this episode, the Fortnite Fisticuffs, back for more action. We've got an audience of 721 people here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we've got a pre-show match to get everything going. 6-man tag team action, as we've got the tag team champions in August Washburn defeating Marceliano Gallago, Chris Brownfield, and Kamari Flanders. As you can tell by the in-ring performances, this is just a batch of folks who could all use a little bit more time in the ring. Matu Scarborough has got a bright future ahead of him, and he was really off of his game, but he's still got a 37, outpacing everybody else. We want to get August Washburn see if we can at least get him out of the frozen solid momentum state that he's in right now. Who knows what might come from that, but we wanted to give the boy some shine here. Match rating at 29, and you can see why I was on the pre-show. Another pre-show tag team match as Abeta and Blankenship defeat Layla Pascal and Oscar Kohler. This will be Oscar Kohler's final appearance here in the WHAM for the time being. He got an in-ring performance of 24 as we say goodbye. Layla Pascal had an in-ring performance of 16 and she was visibly tiring towards the end. We're continuing to push her to try to expand her stamina. Wayne Blankenship had a 26, but Barbidia Abeta had a 33 and she continues to poke her head up into the 30s, and that's a good sign for a female competitor for the state that we're in right now. Now, this is not on the pre-show, but it was a very poor match. We had Chuck Wellington and Jackson Barden going one-on-one. Chuck Wellington would pick up the victory here, although he's only getting an in-ring performance of 26. He was in the mid-30s for a while, but he has since dropped. Obviously, the morale is not helping him. But either way, this is not the young budding star that he was looking like he may be. But we can't exactly get rid of the Wellington boys, so we're just stuck hoping that he improves. But he does get a victory here over Jackson Barden, a junior heavyweight. Match rating of 25 to get our night going. More tag team action as Diego Bergen and Kitahachi Kukui are probably going to run as a tag team for a while, given that they have excellent chemistry together, and that's going to help them just stay relevant, keep getting matches, and keep getting work. But they do take a loss here to the Dark Carnival, Black Bull and Craig Bean, two big names. Craig Bean had a 39, Black Bull had a 42, Kitahachi Kukui had a 37, and Diego Bergen had a 31, although he was off of his game, really off of his game. However, we do get a match rating of 37 thanks to these four fine gentlemen. And not a lot of story behind this one, it is really just an exhibition tag team match to further establish the pecking order now that the tag team championships have returned. Junior heavyweight contest as Joel Cartwright picking up a victory over Jeremy Funderburk. Match rating of 35 as Joel Cartwright got a 43 and Funderburk only got a 20. He was really off of his game and his morale has officially gone to, if not annoyed, it's at least irritated. So he's now facing some penalties there. The backstory behind this match is that Joel Cartwright has been constantly teaming up with RT Lincoln and constantly coming up short alongside RT Lincoln, as well as whenever they're competing in like multi-man matches. Neither man can manage to find a victory when they are sharing the ring together. However, as you can see here, Joel Cartwright has no problem picking up a victory when RT Lincoln is nowhere to be seen. So we'll see some more development between those two as time passes here in this episode. But our next match, Junior Heavyweight Championship, Hermenegildo Ramirez defending against a very capable worker in Super Monkey. Now, Hermenegildo Ramirez had an in-ring performance of 56, which is very good. However, we know he could do better. We wanted these boys to go out and steal the show. They got a match rating of 52, and this is not our main event, but it's likely going to be the best match of the night, so it should have been the main event. But Hermenegildo Ramirez just doing what he had to do, looking good in the process, and Super Monkey put up a good fight as well. This was a nice competitive match. Super Monkey definitely showed that he has what it takes to hang with the top junior heavyweights, although it was not his night here. The champion retains, and we've got a segment to move into it. We know Hermenegildo Ramirez is not going to break any barriers when he is speaking on the mic, but I think he's getting a little bit better. Riker Zucker catches up with Hermenegildo after the match. The champion is confident, and when asked about the injury to Archie Filer, Ramirez states that the injury is a result of Archie Filer trying too hard to keep up with Hermenegildo. The champion reiterates that nobody in the WHAM can keep up with him. Showing some cockiness, a little bit of arrogance if you will, from Hermenegildo Ramirez. Confidence is a stain that you just can't wipe off, man. And he is a very confident performer. He has proven that he is the best junior heavyweight on our roster, both in the ring and canonically right now. He's going to flex his muscle a little bit in that sense. And moving into the main event, although it was not as good as our junior heavyweight championship match, it was a good match. And quite frankly, these two guys should be main eventing the shows. So it fits for me. But we had Bronson Fraley defeating Rahan Marlowe in a bit of a surprise, as Rahan Marlowe, to the exception of the month of May, April, and March of this year, he has been basically unbeatable since coming into the WHAM. However, we do see Neil Allman had distracted Rahan Marlowe, which opened up the opportunity for Bronson Fraley to land his finisher, the double arm faceplant, or the pedigree, and pick up the victory. So just a match rating of 42, although Bronson Fraley had a 44 and Rahan Marlowe had a 50, so he had some good things going for us, but that distraction from Neil Allman, it doesn't tank the rating, but it certainly hurts it a little bit. Altogether, we get a show rating of 41. Probably aren't gaining anything in the Mid-South, but we are increasing in the Midwest and now the Southwest thanks to our new broadcasting deal. And we praise Matu Scarborough, Chuck Wellington, and Joe Cartwright after the show. Profiting $3,727, you love to see it. No notable bumps, but we are gaining popularity as we kind of expected. And it's confirmed, Oscar Kohler has left the Wham after making his final appearance. He is still employed by CSW, so I'm happy for him. He was never a detriment, really. He just was never very good. He never turned it around in the ring. We strapped him to Friedrich Herzog, and he really didn't improve all that much. He's 30 years old now, so is he really going to keep improving? Maybe not as much as some younger talents that we could better spend our time investing in. But I am going to miss the 6'7", 316-pound frame that he's got. That is a very impressive frame, and we don't really have anybody like that other than Black Bull. And Blue Mage is like 6'7", but I don't think he's that heavy. Before we get into the next show, we just had this message that I thought was interesting. It was satisfying to me because we will do anything we can to sabotage SPW. They had to increase their music level to local because they were feeling the effects of our much superior music setting, given that we are rivals. It didn't seem to affect their show really. I mean, they still got a 53. It's still really good. However, as said before, any bad news for SPW is good news for us. And Benson Sandy was hired by SPW. Happy for the boy to have found some work. He's going to join that highly toxic locker room with his bad personality. I can't imagine if we had control of SPW, we would be drowning in morale issues. Their morale is probably worse than ours right now. Just basing it off of what personalities they have back there, but I mean, I'm not there, so I can't really speak on it. The same instance, but another interesting headline, as reports indicate that Neil Allman is hotly tipped to become a huge star with Wham. I could have swore that he has already kind of done that, but the rumor has it that the company's management see him as having the potential to become a megastar within the next 5 years, and are investing a lot of resources into making that happen. I mean, it's no secret that Neil Allman is that dude. Current Wham heavyweight champion. We're going to go with something a little different here. We are actually going to be running this show in the Southeast, right in SPW's turf. We're going to head up over to Little Rock, Arkansas for this show. And we've got a few different guys that are not in the locker room tonight. So I'm not really worried about what our show is going to look like in terms of ratings. I'm still going to do the best I can. We only need a show rating of 16 to gain popularity here in Southeast. We're still going to broadcast the show in the Mid-South, so if it's a total stinker, it might hurt us a little bit there, but I'm confident we can gain that back. We're also going to give Joe Bryant a one-night contract offer as he turned up and asked if we could use him. I don't know if we even are going to use him, but he does have a lively personality type, which I think still impacts the backstage atmosphere a little bit. So we're going to bring him in. We may use him, we may not. And one more risky move that we're going to make is a hardline stance. And this is the main reason I gave some guys the night off, because I was not going to risk losing some key guys. But anyone else that we might lose right now, I hope we don't lose anybody. But if we do lose someone, then we can at least navigate it. Randy Edson, I kind of figured he might, because he was very angry. He accepted the offer and walked out. We do lose a good personality in Randy Edson. However, we can easily replace a job guy like that. Maybe we do it with Joe Bryant. Who knows? And the last thing that I'm going to look at before we get into the show is look at tonight's locker room morale. It's average. That is great. That means we're not going to get dinged with a bunch of penalties. However, we did have to leave some major names off of our show. Hermenegildo Ramirez is not here. None of the Wellington boys are here. Granted, they're not the biggest name. Rahan Marlowe is not here tonight. But we do still have some bad personalities here in the locker room because they were very happy. There was no chance that they were going to walk away. Like Neil Allman, for example. He's still contributing negatively, but we are able to have a average locker room atmosphere thanks to the influx of the positive personalities that we brought in. Now let's get into the show. We did find a way to use Joe Bryant, and I'm not surprised to see that he was rusty and he got an awful in-ring performance. However, he did contribute positively to the backstage atmosphere, which may be more important than his individual in-ring performance right now. But we put on a stinker here in the Southwest to set the tone, I guess. I hope not to set the tone. But pre-show match, August Washburn, he ain't nothing special. Joe Bryant, clearly he needs work. But August Washburn picks up his first singles victory in I don't know how long. It might be close to a decade. Probably at least 6 years, 5 years. I don't know. But it's been a while. Now, another pre-show match, triple threat between the ladies. We wanted to see what kind of numbers we would get. Once we tackle this morale thing, we will really make a play to really get the women's division going. But my attention is divided right now within this database and save, because we got to turn things around in the morale sector. That explains the stalling of the women's division, I guess. But Kuni Hashiguchi got an in-ring performance of 47. Barbidia got a 31. Ivy Baldridge got a 27. Good to see that Barbidia is actually outscoring Ivy Baldridge. Not necessarily anything against Ivy Baldridge, but she was kind of benchmark from trash to serviceable right now. So good stuff, encouraging things that we can see from the ladies. Kuni Hashiguchi came away with the victory. I don't think I said that one. Now, this was not a pre-show match, but it might as well have been, because it was not great. Matu Scarborough in the ring going one-on-one with Marceliano Gallago, more just building the star that is Matu Scarborough, because he is going to be a very solid worker here in the Wham, I think. Marceliano, the jury's still out on that, but I appreciate his contributions backstage, and that's why he's got a job. But we get a match rating of 29, Matus with a 32, Marceliano with a 23. Not the best stuff. Now we've got another match. We've got Craig Bean taking on Rocco Lockwood in one-on-one competition. Matu Scarborough's not here by Rocco Lockwood's side, but Craig Bean does have the support of Bryant Hines. And Craig Bean and Black Bull picked up a tag team victory at the last show, which kind of gives them footing, pokes them into potential contention for the tag team championships. It doesn't take a lot because there isn't much of a tag team division right now. Potential half preview for a tag team championship match, as Craig Bean takes the loss to Rocco Lockwood, actually, despite really carrying Rocco Lockwood through the match. Craig Bean had a 33, Rocco Lockwood only had a 19. However, the tag team champion getting the leg up here on his potential challenger. Now we've got some junior heavyweight action. Joel Cartwright competed against Jeremy Funderburk last event, and now RT Lincoln is going to compete against Jeremy Funderburk, just to kind of, if you can do it, so can I kind of thing, trying to one-up each other through the spirit of competition. And RT Lincoln looking good in this match. In-ring performance of 36, not quite what Joel Cartwright put up, though Joel Cartwright was at home in the Mid-South, but Jeremy Funderburk just with a 19, not what you want to see. Anytime they're under 20, that is pretty poor, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt that he does have very little popularity in the Southeast. Match rating at 31. Moving on into our next match, we had Turner Spittler heavyweight competition going one-on-one with Kitahachi Kikui. Just a really physical match here. 11:46, Turner Spittler would take home the victory, reinforcing his might. Came out of the Frank Norris tribute show with a huge singles victory over Sebastian Morales, and that just builds some more momentum with Turner Spittler. We got a match rating of 40, Spittler at a 45, and Kitahachi Kikui at a 30. Now, Turner Spittler does have some really good popularity here in the Southeast because he was with SPW for quite a while. But we do have a segment after the match. Sebastian Morales stormed the ring to gain a measure of revenge on Turner Spittler. Morales relentlessly attacked Turner Spittler, never giving him a chance to recover or regain his footing. Sebastian Morales would leave Turner Spittler beaten down, showing that the issues they have with one another are far from resolved. Just a continuation of this rivalry here. Sebastian Morales, Turner Spittler attacked Sebastian Morales, had him in a bad way, in a bad state, not 100%, having something to do with the victory for sure that he got at the tribute show, but now Sebastian Morales getting his own lick here and attacking Turner Spittler, and we get some intensity raised between these two. Segment rating of 38. Now, our main event of the night, big 6-man tag team match featuring 3 Wham OGs and 3 newer faces, all with tenure in a different company, I might add. However, Black Bull was the choice here for a few different reasons, but one of them being when I was just looking down the list of prominent heavyweights that have been with the Wham, and really only the Wham, with the Wham being their first company, there wasn't a lot of them. I will acknowledge that Neil Allman does currently work for a different company in CSW right now, but we know who Neil Allman is. He's the Wham loyalist. However, 3 different faces that have all banded together to put a stop to the shenanigans and chicanery of Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman. However, the Wham OGs and Black Bull actually come out on top, as Neil Allman would put down Maxwell Ham and to collect the victory. But we get a match rating of 48 for this main event. Black Bull at a 37, Bronson Fraley at a 39, Neil Allman at a 53, Maxwell Ham 46, Woodrow Gunter 50, and Super Monkey a 36. Not bad given that this is not our home territory. And Black Bull has a gimmick that is getting stale. I saw that at the last event and I did not do anything to change it, so we got to make sure we do that before the next event. However, good work here. The champion still looking really strong out of his fresh championship victory. And we've got a segment to end the night. It matches the match with a 48 rating. But Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley begin to play to the crowd following the match. As the 2 stars reveled in their victory, they began to notion Black Bull to join. However, the Dark Carnival would appear at the curtain, catching Black Bull's attention immediately. There was an air of hesitance and uncertainty from Black Bull, who would stoically leave the ring and head to the back. Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley didn't let this slow them down, as they continued to parade to the audience. I did not include the actual members of the Dark Carnival in this specific segment because I knew their presence and their lack of popularity would just bring the rating down, and I wanted to keep the focus on these 3 guys in the ring. But the big deal is, Black Bull was invited to join in the obnoxious and arrogant celebration that Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman were taking part in. However, Bryant Hines, Craig Bean, and Blue Mage would appear at the curtain. There would be some, I remember you was conflicted, and Black Bull kind of was just a little unsure if he should, accept the praise from his then teammates, or if he should just, go back with the Dark Carnival. These aren't your boys. Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman aren't your boys. The Dark Carnival are your boys. And eventually, Black Bull he didn't say anything. It was a silent statement from Black Bull, and he just made his way back up to the ramp. So, strong way to end the night. Not bad, given that our show was in the Southeast region. We do increase our popularity in 4 different regions. That's some spillover from Southeast, as well as Midwest, and hopefully Mid-South. It would make sense. And we praise Sebastian Morales, Kenny Lyles, and Woodrow Gunter after the show. We do not profit this show, given our puny ticket sales. Only $500 when at the last show we were making like $8,000 off of ticket sales. So not surprising that we lost money here, but I think we will be able to be alright, although our post-show finances say that we're only at $2,000, but we'll just turn it on to collect a bigger check next time. And we gained some popularity, Mid-South, Midwest, Southeast, and Southwest. Good stuff. No spillover from the Southeast. I was full of it when I said that, I guess. But we do move from 20 to 21 in the Midwest. And I do think it's worth mentioning that 6-man main event match was made a 6-man tag team match for one of the reasons was that I knew it would mask the awful chemistry between Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley. And I mentioned in one of the last episodes to leave some feedback about if I should just manually just change and remove that bad chemistry for a storytelling perspective and for better storytelling. I have not uploaded that episode since I've recorded it, and since I'm recording this one now. So I haven't changed anything like that. I said I was going to do it if nobody said anything. I'm still waiting. I'm patient enough in that case. But if you didn't leave a comment about how you feel about that in the last video, go do so now. I'll hold your spot for you in this video. And I am proud to report that with no weird modifications to the locker room or anything right now, we have brought our locker room morale back to average. Big stuff. We don't even have a full panel of negative influences at the moment. And we've got a whole slew of positive influences. You love to see it. And not only that, but look how many people we've got that are actually happy. It's not a ton, and it is a minority in the actual locker room itself. But this list, this column, used to be entirely red, to the exception of our own character, which I don't think its morale can change at all. So, big progress, big tangible progress is being made in restoring this locker room morale. And we had some big losses, but honestly, I'm not hating where we're at with the WAM and the direction that we're going. But we still got a big event of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 86 to get into before this episode is over. And this is the kind of stuff we need. Kamari Flanders lifting the locker room when a silly game he created quickly became very popular backstage. That's why we picked him up. Not because of what he can do between the ropes, but what he can do outside of them. And here we are, the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 86. Not too much longer and we'll be at number 100, the century mark. Wow. But anyway, we got some pre-show matches, of course. Just one this time, actually. A triple threat tag team match that probably wasn't happening a ton in the 1930s, but we're using it. And we've got the Wellington Dynasty, Diego Bergen and Kitahachi Kukui, and Jeremy Funderburk and Kamari Flanders all scrapping. And we've got the Wellington brothers coming out on top. Chuck and Duke getting the job done. And in-game, this was an elimination format, though in canon, it was not. In Whammin', it was not. But we do see that we are back to putting up some good performances. You'd love to see it. That shadow of the morale has hopefully left, and I'm sure we'll see it again, but I hope we can go a while without having to deal with it. But Duke Wellington 24, Chuck Wellington back in the 30s with a 31, Kitahachi Kukui and Diego Bergen both getting in the 40s, as Kukui got a 42 and Bergen got a 40. Kamari Flanders getting up into the 30s for the first time, and Jeremy Funderburk with a 26, even though he was really off of this game. That gives me confidence that he could be putting up some 30s when he gets a little bit more consistent, if that ever happens. But we get a match rating of 34, not bad for the pre-show. We are back in the Mid-South in front of 684 people in Norman, Oklahoma. Now we've got another triple threat tag team match. Mainly it started as a tag team match between the first two teams, but then I realized that Veronica Lutter wasn't doing anything, and I wasn't jiving with that. But we get another big tag team match, this time all intergender teams featuring the ladies. Barbidia Abeta and Wayne Blankenship, Kuni Hashiguchi and Super Monkey, both of those teams had great chemistry, while Veronica Lutter and August Washburn had absolutely zero chemistry. Unfortunate. But we would see Kuni Hashiguchi and Super Monkey picking up the victory. And we had some encouraging performances. Wayne Blankenship at a 31, Barbidia at a 37, I think that's her highest so far. Super Monkey with a 46, very nice. Kuni Hashiguchi with a 54, that is excellent. August Washburn at a 19, and Veronica Lutter had a 32. And we get a match rating of 42, which we're going to need it, because I'll say it right now. I think I shot myself in the foot a little bit with the way I booked the main event, just as far as what match I chose for the main event, but I think it's going to pay off. It's definitely going to pay off story-wise, but number-wise, we're really going to need a strong undercard, because I don't think our main event is going to get the highest rating. And it's going to be tough to beat, as we had 4 big heavyweights just looking for something to do tonight. And we get a match seeing Rahan Marlowe defeating Woodrow Gunter, Maxwell Ham, and Friedrich Herzog in a fatal 4-way match. It could only last 6 minutes because Friedrich Herzog getting gassed, but he has been primarily a road agent, and so I just really wanted to make sure I didn't leave him off the card in that way. I wanted to get him in the ring, utilize that popularity, and I know he would get a good performance, and he did such with a 54. Rahan Marlowe matched that 54, and then Woodrow Gunter and Ham both got 50s. But altogether, we get a match rating of 51. Great work here. And you see Great Matsuo, if you don't remember, or if you didn't watch that initial episode, the Great Matsuo is Maxwell Ham's manager, just to amplify the aura of Maxwell Ham. Now in our next match, we've got Joel Cartwright and RT Lincoln going one-on-one. And this match has been brewing for a while. These two have been button heads, but they're too dang respectful to really take it to that next level. It has gotten physical, but now it's in the ring. Joel Cartwright defeating RT Lincoln in 15.5 minutes, forcing RT Lincoln to submit. Big time performance here by Joel Cartwright, coming up in the clutch against RT Lincoln. They haven't even been talking shit to each other, but they've been trying to one-up each other. They've been trying to team with each other, but it just hasn't been working. Trying to figure out who is the problem in that team, and Joel Cartwright, at least for now, can say that it was not on him. But we get a match rating of 46. It meets right in the middle of their in-ring performances, as Cartwright had a 48, Lincoln had a 44, and we see some good work here. This is our only junior heavyweight exclusive match on the card. But following the match, Hermenegildo Ramirez would begin to clap for the winner as he was spectating ringside, although he would quickly raise his championship belt, making direct eye contact and looking extremely focused. The champion made his way to the back, looking rather unbothered by the emergence of his next potential challenger. Segment rating of 39, Hermenegildo Ramirez is turning in some better angle performances, and I'm all for it. Our next match, a submission contest, as Sebastian Morales and Turner Spittler looking to further the physicality between their rivalry. Just two big physical heavyweights, two well-accomplished heavyweights, Sebastian Morales being a former WHAM heavyweight champion, and Turner Spittler is a ruthless man. But we get another good match out of these two. Sebastian Morales had a nice in-ring performance at 52, Turner Spittler out of 46, although these two only get a segment rating of 40 because we did have to keep Turner Spittler strong, which hit us with a little bit of a penalty there. But all in all, the show keeps going with some strong matches, and Sebastian Morales has now gotten one up on Turner Spittler, and that will leave them 1-1 in terms of their recent matches with one another. And here it is, the main event of the night, Tag Team Championship match, the only championship match that we've got tonight, and we've got Matu Scarborough and Rocco Lockwood putting up the titles up against the Dark Carnival, Blue Mage, and Black Bull. Now, I said it at the beginning, and I just mentioned it when we clicked into this, but I knew this was not going to be the main event to wow the crowd and take everybody home in a state of shock and awe. However, we do get a championship match. We do see the emerging star that is Matu Scarborough continue to shine as he takes home the victory, picking up the pinfall, pinning Black Bull at that. But this is the third successful defense of the WHAM Tag Team Championships since they have made their return and the Wellingtons fumble of their attempt to once again become Tag Team Champions. But Rocco Lockwood, still not the best in-ring performer, but we knew that was going to be the case. He only got a 24, Matu Scarborough got a 43, he's going to be great. Black Bull 47 and Blue Mage at a 45, good job by the vets there. But unfortunately, we just get a segment rating of 38. Now after the match, I didn't type it all out because I didn't know how much space was actually going to show on screen. Black Bull took the loss. He took the pinfall, and there was some serious tension between he and the Dark Carnival given what happened at the last event, the Fortnite Fisticuffs, with Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman. After the match, Bryant Hines is kind of scolding Black Bull. You can't hear exactly what he's saying, but he's basically giving him commands. And he's telling him what's about to happen. And the Dark Carnival began an initiation-like beatdown of Black Bull, who refused to defend himself. It was a sobering atmosphere until Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley made their way down to the ring to put an end to the assault. As soon as their presence was made, the Dark Carnival held back their attacks. There was a tense confrontation as both parties were still waiting to react to their adversary. Black Bull is on the ground in between them. However, Blue Mage and Craig Bean would help Black Bull to his feet. The Dark Carnival took their leave from the ring, including Black Bull, leaving major tension and questions swirling around what just took place. So Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman have been acting rather heelish as of late, but they're the ones coming in to make the save, so it's tough to decipher right now just what's going on, but we've got major questions between the Dark Carnival and then the WHAM OGs, Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman. And it is really important to note that this didn't feel like an attack in the sense of the Dark Carnival was turning on the Black Bull. This felt more like punishment, consequence, reprimanding. And Black Bull, he wasn't fighting it. He was just taking it. He's a big dude, but he was taking some punishment. Because Blue Mage and Craig Bean are not small men either. Bryant Hines, he'd throw in a kick and a stomp and such, but Bryant Hines is more of a vocal ringleader more so than any kind of physical competitor. We're going to see what we got for the whole match in total, just a 39. That's unfortunate. Our main event didn't help. We had the best match just after the opener. That Fatal 4-Way was going to be a banger, I knew it would be, but it had absolutely zero story or context behind it, so it wouldn't make sense to put it in the main event, in my mind. And thus, we lose popularity in the Mid-South. Hopefully it's not an actual digit decrease, but We do gain popularity in 2 regions, which is probably the southeast and probably the southwest and the midwest, not the southeast, excuse me. What am I saying? And after the show, we praised Sebastian Morales, Kenny Wiles, and Kuni Hashiguchi. She was very happy with the speech. That might mean she's no longer irritated. We gained $5,000 from this show, and we really needed it because after that cash dump in the southeast, we were hurting for funds, and it's good to see that. We do bump up from 16 to 17 in the southwest. You love to see that. Stay at 21 in the midwest, and thankfully we do not drop from 41 to 40 in the mid-south, but we do lose some of our popularity there. And despite the show really being underwhelming for our own standards, according to the game in the universe, the feedback has been pretty good for a company our size. And I think I'm going to pull the trigger on Joe Bryant. We lost Randy Edson, who was a heavyweight. Joe Bryant would fill his spot in terms of the heavyweight. We're just going to go with a 6-month contract to just feel it out. If there's a better option that comes up and we don't need his lively personality as much in the backstage, then maybe we just let him walk after 6 months. He's going to be rusty for a while, and after he's rusty, he's not going to be very good still. So he's a bit of a project. He's only 25 years old, but we did lose Randy Edson. So as you can see here, we shortlisted him. I have no intentions of really re-signing him ever again, but I do like to keep track of the former Wham guys just to see where they end up. And I did say I was going to chill on signing people to the roster for a while and try to not bloat the roster, and I know I've got some women that we're going to need to end up picking up to really fill out the women's division. But Raw LaBoy, he is an established worker here in the database. He's got up to 34 popularity in Mexico. He's got a decent starting point of 10 popularity in the Mid-South. Pretty solid, well-rounded in the ring. And if you look at his most recent match on an independent show, he was getting an in-ring performance of 40. So not only is he capable, but he's also got the people person personality, which is only a benefit for a backstage situation. I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to send him a 1-year contract. I assume he's going to join up with the Wham, and we're going to have a new junior heavyweight to squabble up. We are going to have to pay for his travel for a little while, but I think we can handle that when we're only 9 days away from our next show. And after simulating a day or two, we see that Joe Bryant has accepted his contract, as did Raw LaBoy. So we made an addition to the heavyweight division and the junior heavyweight division, just continuing to help out that backstage morale, because Joe Bryant will definitely help and Raw LaBoy will also help. And before we finish up, we're going to try giving a character idea to Rahan Marlowe. It was a failure. That's unfortunate. So he's still annoyed. That doesn't change anything. I'm not going to give out any monetary bonuses right now because we just don't have the cheddar to be doing that. But that's going to do it for us here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the Wham and tuning into these videos. Leave some feedback down below. I want to hear what you think about the direction of the Wham. Is there anybody we should push? Is there any specific storyline you want to see, or a specific rivalry that you'd want to see between 2 or 3 people or something along those lines? Leave your feedback down below, because if you're watching the series, I might as well take some input and make it feel more lively for you guys, because your enjoyment and your benefit and your participation is what's going to keep this series going. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.